I'll be done here after a year, and would love to come back and help out as a GA and kind of get my feet wet as a coach and see how it goes. And he said, well, absolutely, we'll give you that opportunity. So after I graduated, I went for a short stint in the NFL with the Broncos, very short stint, got let go about midway through training camp, and then had the chance to play in the USFL for 3 years. And once that went defunct and it was over with, then I came back and said, hey, coach, is the offer still good? And Coach Edwards said, absolutely. And so away it went. That's where it all started.
What was your expectation? Like when you got into it, you started coaching, did you ever see it ending up where it has? I mean, what did you expect from it all?
Well, I don't know if anybody could have foreseen, the whole thing, but
right.
I had grown up the son of a coach, obviously, and so I knew the ins and outs and the time requirements and all the sacrifice that you have to make, and not only you but your family. I mean, it's very hard on your spouse and kids, and so I was really well aware. I went in with eyes wide open, and it just. One thing led to another. After I GA'd, I got a chance to go up to Idaho State, and that was really my first college job. And Garth Hall gave me the opportunity to go up there and coach linebackers, and spent 7 years there, and went to Utah in '94, and been here ever since.
Boy, that's a name from I knew Garth Hall growing up in football camps and all that stuff, and I believe we played Idaho State when you were there when I was at Utah. I think in 1987.
Yeah, we played them twice, and I think you were not there. Well, no, you were. You're right. We shellacked us out here in Salt Lake. It was like 56 to something. But I thought you were 1 year removed, but maybe I'm wrong. I thought, in fact, you were, because we didn't play Utah, I believe, until a few years later. But you might have played Idaho State when I wasn't there. How about that?
When you weren't there, yeah. Because I don't think I would have had the success had you been there. It'd been a different deal.
Oh yeah, sure.
So Kyle Whittingham, you son of a coach. I love. He's a son of a coach. All right, so you mentioned your family, your wife Jamie, and one of the things that's really cool for me, I've really appreciated this, and you don't even know what I'm going to say here, but so I'm on the radio calling the games, and we're there early, and so the teams show up, especially on the road, and every week your wife is right there. Jamie is right on the sideline, literally every game, home, away. Of course, she's been by your side the whole way. What's that meant to you to have her? I mean, literally right there. I think it's the coolest thing in the world.
Well, she's been awesome and such a great support. And if you don't have, there's two types of coaches' wives, and that's it. And it's really, really good ones that get it, and ex-wives, and that's about where you're at. And so if you get a wife that doesn't get it and is not willing to support you, that's not going to last long. And fortunately, I got one of the good ones, and she has been by my side, like I said, ever since I got started on this thing, even back when I was a grad assistant. And it's been a heck of a ride, and she's endured a lot of sacrifice in a lot of ways. She's been a single parent for a lot of the year when the season starts. It's I'm not around much, and so she did a great job raising 4 kids and holding the fort down for us.
What's the best advice she gave you in coaching?
Oh, wow. She really kind of stayed out of it and didn't really give advice other than just, be confident and don't stress and enjoy the ride. I mean, that's what I heard over and over from everyone, enjoy it. And I have a hard time enjoying it because I'm so competitive. I enjoy it when you win. And if you don't win, then it's miserable. And so I'm losing averse, I think is what they labeled me, where you hate losing more than you love winning. And so in that respect, we've been fortunate here to be at Utah with a lot of really good players and really good coaches and won far more games than we lost.
One of the things, I mean, a lot of people have said this, including myself, and I really believe this, that I think you've done the best coaching job in the country in the last 25 years. I think you've done more with less and had more success. And it's quite a compliment to you in how you recruit these players. They buy into this culture, you develop them, and you really get the most out of them. But I'm really curious about this recruiting philosophy that you've been a part of. How did that come to be, and what did you look for in players? In fact, I heard someone recently talk. Gosh, it was Eric Weddle. Like a lot of people didn't see Eric Weddle as a good player, and he's a good example of one of those players. I know Luther Ellis is a guy that came. I don't know if you were at Utah at that time, but there've just been a lot of players that under the radar that you guys have found and figured out. And how do you do that? What was the philosophy of recruiting?
Well, first of all, you got to look for the raw material, and what you see at the high school level, and what they're doing is not necessarily indicative of what they're going to be doing in 3 years, and then you got to project. And so you got to be able to be an evaluator that can tell if a young man is maxed out in high school and doesn't have much more room for improvement, or maybe there's a ton of upside because he's got a big frame, he's a little on the light side, and we can put some weight on him, and he has the athleticism and the speed that we need. And so it's really evaluation. And our assistant coaches through the years have done such a great job of targeting the right guys, and also character. That's a big part of our equation. If we've turned down hundreds of really good players here that just weren't our kind of guys. They didn't have the character we're looking for, because character goes a long way. And so if they all that matches up, when we think they have a big upside and they're high character players, and we get into the program, and then our mantra here is recruit, develop, and manage. You recruit the right guys, you develop them while they're here, and you manage them and make sure everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing and buying into the culture and all that type of thing. And so it's not an exact science. You're not going to be right all the time, but if you can be right 2 out of 3 times, if 2 out of every 3 young men that you bring through the doors end up being good players for you, then you're going to have a really good roster and about 60, 65 guys that can really play football. And if you're right half the time, you'll be a so-so team, and if you're right 1 out of 3, you'll get fired. And so that's about the size of it.
What's your most proud moment of your time at Utah? What are you most proud of?
Well, I would say that the thing that is the most rewarding is to see these young men come in here, 18-year-old freshmen, maybe with not a lot of structure in their lives, not a lot of discipline, and maybe thinking that academics isn't that big a deal, and seeing them leave here with a degree in hand, equipped to become productive members of society and good husbands and fathers and all that. So that is the most rewarding thing, and particularly on graduation day, in the spring when you get to go to watch these guys get their degrees and their families all there. And many of our players, many of them are first-time college graduates in their family, and so that's really something special to see when that happens.
I would imagine so. I coached high school football and it was just I got such a thrill out of these players, and they would send me notes years later and just say, "Hey man, you made such a difference in my life," and just fun to watch them grow. And and just on a much smaller scale than you, but I'm sure it was really satisfying.
Yeah, I get the notes and texts and emails, and you're right that after the fact when there's not a lot that is more rewarding than that, as well as to hear from former players say, "Boy, what we learned in your program really helped us in life," and so forth. You're right, that's a big part of it as well.
When Coach Shula, when he coached me, he's like, the thing he told you what you needed to hear, not what you wanted to hear. And in the moment, you didn't necessarily appreciate it, but boy, you did later on. You're just like, I needed that. So, and I'm so grateful that someone was willing to hold me to a standard, and just very, very much appreciated. So,
exactly.
What do you do from here? Like, so you
know, that's a great question. Go ahead.
Well, I just wonder, I mean, because it's, you step down is kind of the verbiage. What does that mean? Are you going to be around? Do you looking to coach some more? College pros. You want to come be a radio host? You can be my assistant radio host.
Sidekick.
Yeah, why not?
Sidekick, you bet. Well, that's a great question. What's on the what does the future hold? And I know I've been on the coaching treadmill for 35, 40 years now, and a lot of me wants to say, hey, just relax, take some time, catch your breath. But then my competitive juices are there as well, and I'm just right now in the process. Well, right now we're preparing for this bowl game, and that's our entire focus. But after that's over with, I've got some thinking to do, and some just take a step back and take it all in and gain some perspective on the situation, and then decide from there.
If you want some advice, call me. We don't have to talk about it now, but call me. I'll give you some good advice. If you want it, it's totally up to you. I seriously mean that, by the way.
Got you.
So you mentioned your last game. What do you want to accomplish from this? Is this I don't know. I have a thought about it, but I'm curious what you want to accomplish. Is it awkward? Is it weird because you're stepping down, or is this a nice way to have great closure? Or, what's your expectation from this last game?
Yeah, I would say the latter. I think that it's going to be. I'm at peace right now, and know the program's in good hands with Coach Scally, and the program's in a good place. And that was really my primary objective for coming back this year. Is I was just so disgruntled, disappointed. Last year with all the stuff we went through, and I did not want to leave the program in that state when I left, and so I came back, and fortunately we had an outstanding year. I got a great group of guys, great leadership, and we were able to get the ship back on track. And the program, like I said, we got good players, good coaches. Coach Scally's taking over, so I think the future looks bright for Utah football.
I think one of the most impressive things that you did in your coaching at Utah was transition from a group of 5 to a Power 5 team when you guys moved to the Pac-12. Those first few years were kind of lean. There were some tough times. How did you get through that move and those kind of early, really lean years?
Yeah, well, the first year out, we actually had a chance to win the South. If we would have just taken care of business against Colorado in our last game, we would have been the South champions, but didn't get it done. And then it was the next 2 years that were fairly difficult. I think we were 5-7 both years, something like that. But anyways, it was when we made the transition, we felt like we were equipped at the line of scrimmage to compete with pretty much anyone in the league, but we needed to upgrade, the perimeter athleticism and speed, and that took a few years to get that done. And once we got that done, after a couple seasons and a couple recruiting cycles, then we started to get real traction in the league, and then of course we play in 3 or 4 straight.
4 in a row.
Championship games. Yeah, 4 in a row. And able to win the last 2, finally have that breakthrough. And, the only thing that was kind of disappointing is we weren't able to get a victory in either of the Rose Bowls, but just so proud of our guys and our coaches for getting there. I mean, that was a milestone for the program, but would have been nice to be able to come away with a victory there.
Yeah, it would have. Speaking of those moments, I remember when that was my first thought. Okay, Utah's to the Pac-12. I'm like, oh wow, we can go to the Rose Bowl now, and that was, and then to see it happen twice was really special. Do you have a moment that, and I'm talking about a game moment? Like, was there a game? Was it winning the championship? Was there a game that really stands out? The most memorable or meaningful game you had as the head coach at Utah?
Yeah, probably 2 or 3 of them. The Sugar Bowl obviously was a huge, another milestone for the program, if you will, and another indicator that, hey, we're on the national scene and we can compete with pretty much anybody. And then games that stood out in my mind: the TCU game, the blackout game here at night, where we ended up, Brian Johnson hit Freddie Brown on that slant with 30 seconds left or whatever it is to take the lead and win the game. And then the Oregon game, where Britt Covey takes the last play of the first half, punt return back. I mean, the crowd is just, there's been 4 or 5 or 6 moments in that stadium, Rice Eccles, where the crowd is just deafening. Most recently is when Devin broke that long run against K-State, when we were there at the end of the game, and the crowd there, even though there were some people that had already left, but when Rice Eccles gets rocking and that crowd is in high gear, it's a special place.
How concerned are you about the direction of college football?
Well, concerned, but I'm sure they'll figure it out. But the current state is not sustainable. What we're doing now, and with how things are structured now, it's not sustainable, and they're going to have some major overhauls, and I think you'll see that coming on the horizon in 2 or 3 years at the soonest, and maybe 4 or 5 years at the latest. But they've got to do something and get things some guardrails, if you will. I mean, it's just right now still the wild west, for the last 2 or 3 years, and we got to get structure, and it's got to be implemented fairly soon because most athletic departments in the country, if not all, are running at a deficit now with the rev share and everything that's going on. So it's tough times right now for college football, but I'm confident they'll get it figured out eventually.
Okay, last question. How would you evaluate your coaching job at Utah? If you were looking at it, what would you say about the job you've done here?
Well, I say we did a great job of getting really good assistant coaches in here who got really good players in here, and that's what it's all about. College football is all about the players. A lot of head coaches in college don't think that. They think it's about them, and they're the main attraction. But it's a players' game, and that's the big key to our success and the way that we've been able to get it done for so many years is have the right players in the program, and as we already talked about, developing them. And again, I can't say more positive things about our assistant coaches, and I've been very blessed to have a bunch of really good guys around me, and really makes my job pretty easy.
Well, coming from someone who went to Utah in 1986, and they were some lean years when I was there, and I never imagined it would end up how it's done. I thank you from the bottom of my heart in what you've done for the school as the coach. It's been phenomenal. Seriously, greatest of all time at the University of Utah. You have done an excellent job coaching, and I will tell you that. And I don't think anyone's done a better one in college football. So, again, I thank you for your time today, and thank you for all you've done for the University of Utah and just the person you are. And it's an honor, and I really appreciate that I know you in the way that I do. And so my best to you always, and thank you for your time.
Well, likewise, Scott, and I appreciate your kind words very much, and you've been a great support through the years, and hope that continues.
Absolutely. All right. Have a great day, Kyle, and best of luck coming up in Las Vegas.
Okay, I'm sure we'll see you soon. Thanks, Scotty. All right.
All right. There you have it, folks. Kyle Whittingham, the head coach at the University of Utah. Of course, he is going to be the greatest of all time. He's done a remarkable job. I got a little emotional right there. I got a little emotional. So, but I think the world of Kyle. I really do. I have so much respect for how he is and how he's been as a coach. I'm really sad to see him go, quite frankly. And one thing I've learned in my experience in life and in sports is nothing lasts forever. But I will say this: that Kyle Whittingham has, as I've said this before, where'er thou art, act well thy part. And I believe that's what Kyle has done. He has just totally embraced the University of Utah. His time here, he didn't use any excuses. He didn't say, "Hey, woe is me." He just said, "Look, here's the challenge. Here's what we've got to figure out." And they did it, and he did it. And it's not easy. I don't think it's that I wish people. I hope people can really appreciate all that he's done in the sense that, like when you're going up against BYU, and BYU through the 70s and 80s into the 90s was the dominant football program in the Intermountain. Had a national brand, had Outland Trophy winners, had Heisman Trophy winners, had a lot of first round, a lot of NFL players through the Lavelle era. Like, it was the place. And to have the program, and of course Ron McBride really started to turn that corner. But Kyle, to compete, wins 9 straight against BYU. But then Utah kind of goes in a different direction. So they go to the Pac-12, right? And you're just like, oh man, this is a new mountain. Like, I mean, it's hard. It's hard because you're competing against USC. And by the way, every kid in California wants to go to USC. Every kid, like, it is the school. It's a disappointment when you trickle down the hill and you don't go to USC. And by the way, they recruit every conference in the country recruits in California. It's just the hotbed. It is the mother lode. I mean, Texas is really good, Florida is really good, but California is a country in and of itself. And to compete against USC, to compete against Oregon and Washington and these well-established Pac-12 programs, and you're competing against them, and then you have other schools that jump up out of, like Stanford, all of a sudden decides they want to do something, or sometimes the Arizona schools, one of those, and you're competing against really good people and programs and challenges, and to go into that and then get to a point where you go to 4 straight Pac-12 championship games. Remarkable. Like it's just phenomenal. And so much of it I think is Kyle, in that he has like this what's the word? He has this I just totally lost my train of thought here. But you know, to be able to go and just compete against these schools and to do it, but part of it is Kyle and how he was willing to stay at Utah. I guarantee you that he had people all the time. And I think what he realized is that he realized they had this formula. He kind of had this secret sauce about these players and recruiting. Like they nailed recruiting. They just said, that is our number one job, our number one priority. You go get these players. And they did a beautiful job of it. I mean, you think of Marcus Blair, you think of Julian Blackman, you think of Devin Lloyd, you think of Eric Weddle, you think of just all the Jalen Johnson, Clark Phillip. You just think of all these guys that they've put into the pros. And handed, most of them are defensive players, and that's certainly his, like, you know, his comfort zone. But boy, it was so remarkable. And I really hope people can appreciate, respect, and just really, you know, he will be missed. Now, later on today, by the way, Morgan Scalley will be officially, his official press conference will happen this afternoon at 2:00. So I'm sure you don't want to miss that. That will be a fun thing to have happen. I'm kind of at an interesting place right now because having that conversation with Kyle was it's I don't want to make this over dramatic, but you know, it feels like a I don't want to say a death, but it kind of does. It feels like, you know, okay, there's this process of moving on and change. I hate change. I think that's part of why Kyle stayed at Utah, because he knew it would be better for his family and all that. So just a remarkable job that he did. And I really hope that folks can really, and they will, you know, over time. I mean, you know, Kyle Whittingham, he'll be inducted into the Ring of Honor. Quite frankly, he should be the next person that they induct into the Ring of Honor, if you ask my opinion. He's just a remarkable job. Now, he mentored Morgan. Morgan cut his teeth with Kyle. He brought him along. And now it's Morgan's turn. And the question is, or you know, what does it make a difference? Does it have an impact? Can Morgan carry on the tradition? And I think even a better question, because it's like your kids. You grow up and you get married, you have a family, and you hope your kids have a better life than you did. And I think that's what Kyle would wish for Morgan and the university. And so it's not like, oh, you just carry. It's like, can you take it to a new level, Morgan? Can you go in a different direction? Can you really set the school on a higher plane? And I think you know, that would be even more of a testament to Kyle Whittingham is the success someone like Morgan has. And it's not about Kyle, but it's about a way of conducting yourself and the way you handle your business. And part of that is that the people around you are better off, and they succeed as they move forward, because it's always that way. I mean, look, Lavelle Edwards is at BYU forever, but he wasn't there forever. He was there for a long time, and then it ended. So we shall see. Anyways, I really appreciated my time with Kyle, and I think we're going to take a break right now. We come back. Hey, the Chicago Bears are considering going to Northwest Indiana and building a stadium. That should be a fun conversation. That and so much more when the Down and Dirty, let's see, we got continues. So before we go out to break, of course, I got to tell you about, driving, right? We're all driving. It's the Christmas season, the football season just got over. But it's a crazy time. So you really need to be careful when you're out driving, because it's well, it's not a fun thing. But if you do get in an accident, which I hope you don't, then just get a hold of the Utah Advocates. They will take care of you if you have any issues. They are open 24/7, 365. Of course, they're not gonna charge you anything until they actually have something in place for you. So they also handle things like, dog bites, if you're on a motorcycle, if you're injured. So make sure you give them a call. There's no cost, and they'll do a great job for you. It's 801-355-5550, or you go to utahadvocates.com. So please drive cautiously, especially when dropping your kids off at school. Ute fans, you didn't deserve to be in an accident, but you do deserve an advocate. All right, more to come here on the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell, ESPN 792.1 FM.
Yeah, I'm here. I will try. I can try. Yeah, we got to get back, but I'll try. We'll talk about it later. Hold on.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. It's the Down and Dirty. We got dirty there in that first segment. Fun conversation with Coach Whittingham. It really was. Just man, I'm sad. I'm just sad. I'll get over it. I'm really excited for Morgan. It's a great opportunity. We all knew this day was going to come, and it is now upon us. So this should be a fun deal. I'm sure his head is spinning with everything he's got going on right now. But yeah, it'll be curious to see. You know, as Kyle mentioned, that it's a crazy direction this college football is headed, and money is, boy, it's a challenge. But we'll see if we can't get it right. We'll right the ship and get her going. All right, this was a funny thing that I saw today. Of course, the Chicago Bears, they're trying to get a new stadium because Soldier Field, they put enough lipstick on that pig, and it just isn't getting any prettier. It's time for that place to go. Surprised it hasn't just sunk off into Lake Michigan, where it's right on the edge of. So the Bears are looking, and they have a site. And it's been challenging with the end financing. Now they have agreed not to fund the stadium through public funding, and you know the state of Illinois is in some challenging times economically and what have you, and I think it would be challenging to do business in Chicago, but they've just had some issues and they're just not getting through them. So they are looking for a new place to call home. And what better place than Northwest Indiana, like Gary, maybe even South Bend. And so they're looking at the possibility of expanding where they are. Now, I would imagine that the state of Indiana would absolutely welcome and love the Chicago Bears. And I've got the perfect name for a stadium. Okay, so they want to do the roof thing, you know, because you blame them. It's very cold in the Midwest in the winter. I know Martin can speak to this, but I've lived in the Midwest, and I will tell you there is nothing worse than a Midwest winter. It's wet, it's cold, and it's miserable, and it's long. And oh boy, so having a dome would be fantastic. So here's what you do: you put a dome in somewhere. I say South Bend. I really do. I say put it in South Bend, and we'll call it the Dome of the Rock. Oh yes, is that not a great name for the Chicago Bears now in Indiana? Gary / South Bend, Chicago-ish Bears, just kind of somewhere in the lower part of Lake Michigan Bears. And they have the Dome of the Rock. Is that not a great name or what, Martin?
I am going to challenge you for the first time on this show.
Ooh,
that is terrible.
Television. What do you mean that's terrible?
That's terrible. Okay. I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant here. Okay. I am sick and tired of dome stadiums. Bring back Mother Nature and the elements of snow, rain, sleet, all of it. Okay. How is it that people can enjoy a football game in a dome stadium in a conditioned weather facility? I don't understand it. Okay. All right. Bring back the outside weather. All right. I want them to stay in Chicago. But no dome. I don't. The Dome of Rocks. You gotta try better than that, Scott.
No, but you understand that the play on the words here, right?
Oh,
the Dome of the Rock,
I do get that. I do get that.
The Irish, the Catholic Church, to put the dome. You know, it's a dome. It's the Dome of the Rock. You know, I don't know.
I get that.
In fact, they should have Dwayne the Rock Johnson be a part owner, that's what I think.
Hey, the Rock. Now that you're going down that route, the Rock does sound like a good stadium. The Rock Stadium. I like that. I like that.
The Rock, man. Come on.
Okay, I get it.
Put me in marketing.
I hate dome stadiums. I hate.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, someone who's had to play in the cold, I don't mind a dome stadium every once in a while. So now you're from this part of the country.
Yes, I am.
And we all know what this is, right? The Bears are an institution in Illinois, in Chicago. They're the Bears, right? I mean, they have this fanatical following. And we all know this is a leverage play, right?
Yes.
Well, fine. If you don't allow us to do these things, if you're not going to help us out on this, hey, we're going to move. And they know they're not going to move. But they also, I remember the Detroit Lions, who used to be in Pontiac, Michigan. They moved to downtown Detroit, and Pontiac did not think they were going to move. So these teams will move. What do you think about the Gary, Indiana Bears?
I love it. The Gary, Indiana Bears. Bring it on, baby. Let's go. You know what? Gary, Indiana is known for one thing, is Michael Jackson. And the next thing is going to be known for is the Gary, Indiana Bears. Okay? I love it.
So it's a challenge to get to Gary, though.
It is, because you gotta leave on I-95, which is the interstate that takes you from Illinois all the way to Michigan, and that would lead you all the way to Pennsylvania. That's kind of that crossway one. You have to go through a toll road, which would cost you $6, and the closest airport is Midway, which is 2 hours away from Gary, Indiana, because you got to drive through the city, then out the city, and then to Northwest Indiana. And for most people, they go to O'Hare Airport, which is 3 hours from Gary, Indiana, because you have to drive from the north side through the city, out of the city, then to Northwest Indiana.
It might even be closer to drive from Detroit.
It legitimately,
Detroit Metro Airport might be faster to get to Gary, Indiana than, wow.
It would be better to
What
go.
about South Bend? Could you fly into South Bend?
I think you can fly into South Bend, but you can't fly into Gary. That's the problem. You have to drive to Gary. If you went to South Bend, you could fly into there. If you went to Indianapolis, it'd be cheaper. It's only 2 hours from Indianapolis to South Bend.
Mm. Wow, they're in a predicament there.
Yeah, and no toll roads.
When I played for the Lions and we were in Pontiac, it was an hour and a half to the airport. And it annoyed the heck out of me. It was just not very convenient, not easy at all.
No.
Well, this will be a fun story to watch. I think even if they don't look, they're going to have a dome stadium. So you just need to make friends with that, Martin, because you're a Bears fan and you need to make friends with it. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. But
it's all about,
I love the Dome of the Rock. I think whatever happens, I just hope they keep that name.
Yeah, I get it. And last thing on this one, Scott, I get that all these stadiums want to host national championship games, want to host concerts, want to put up, shopping malls and restaurants and bars all around the stadium. I get it. The entertainment money is booming these days. I just wish the natural elements of football would just stick around in the game of the NFL. It's the point of going to the game, is to watch the football game. That's my point.
You like the elements.
I love it, man. Who doesn't want to go out and play in 5 feet of snow and run the ball 400 times?
I don't. I want climate controlled. I think every stadium in the NFL should be domed. I think even the warm weather places should have a dome. So it's no matter what game, no matter where you're playing, everyone should have to play under the same conditions and the same surfaces and the same everything. And so you have climate controlled. It's 72 degrees every single week, every single game, no matter where you are. That's what I think. And if you have, and look, I love the outside. I think it's amazing. And and they have technology today. They've done it and proved it. All these stadiums have to have retractable roofs. So but you have to have certain conditions in order to have the roof open or closed. I think it's an unfair. When I played for the Dolphins, we made the teams that came to South Florida, like the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Green Bay Packers, all of them wear their home jerseys. So the Steelers had to wear those black jerseys and those yellow pants. And I'll tell you, psychologically, but also physiologically, it was a huge, and we're at home. We're in white jerseys, white pants. And it's this is amazing. But on the flip side of it, when we would go to Buffalo, New York, or Foxborough, Massachusetts, or the Meadowlands in New Jersey late in the year, it was freaking cold. And it had an impact on how we played. So it was an advantage, but it was also a disadvantage. And I'd just rather have people have no advantage, that everyone. Because I think it's a real thing. I mean, one of the worst places to play in football was Candlestick Park. It was in a muddy, mired, swamp, and you would think, California is not so, but yeah, ugh, just a quagmire. So I think it's kind of everywhere, and I think it's even in the north and the south, and the east and the west. I mean, Arizona at the beginning of the year, it's like 115 degrees. Like, and of course they have a dome. So and then what you have, although it is kind of weird, because Super Bowls, you always think of warm weather outside. And then you just rotate Super Bowls around. And they just go, and so all the cities have the ability to host a Super Bowl. I wonder what a Super Bowl would be like in Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville? Anyways. Oh boy. Wow. Geez. All right. Let's talk about a couple other things before we go on to the break here. Tua Tagovailoa has been benched by the by the Miami Dolphins. And it's fascinating. So basically he's being paid $53 million to sit on the bench this season. That's not a bad deal. If you're just sitting on the bench, it's like, hey, not getting beat up, not and I think the question is this like, see, Tua has kind of said some things, acted in a certain way where I think he's felt and is feeling the pressure of, I might not be the guy. You think of earlier on in the season when he got public with all their private meetings, started calling players out, started doing all this stuff publicly. And it was just, it's just one of those things, those kind of written rules where there's just certain things you don't talk about, you don't discuss in a public forum. And you have to wonder if maybe those were some signs, like this dude is worried, or he's kind of feeling like he might not be the guy. And so he's now been benched, and that can mean a lot of things. A lot of times organizations they'll chop a guy, they'll put him on the bench or whatever. And what they want to do is they just want to see what they have, or they want to also develop what they have, because once you're out of the playoffs, once you aren't in the running, then you'll see teams start to do different things. And it could very possibly be one of those things where Tua gives us the best chance to win, and maybe we don't want to win the rest of the year, but we want it to look like, hey, we're experimenting some things. There's a whole lot of reasons. Or they could just say, yeah, Tua, you're probably not in our plans in the future. You're a guy that has been known to be injured. We don't want to have injury settlements and issues, and they get complicated, and they get, we're paying out a whole lot of money that we don't want to or have to. So we're going to set you down, so you don't run the risk of getting injured, because more than likely we're going to cut you loose at the end of the year. Now, if they do, I think they're about $99 million what they have to account for. So no matter what, like, that situation is an absolute mess. It's a mess. Like it's like, can't move on, can't stay with, you can't, it's really hard. And part of it could even be, hey, listen, buddy, we're not really liking what you're all about. And maybe it's a message, it's like, all right, if you're going to be here, like, there's no joking around with this stuff. You better bring it, dude. Or else. And so it's kind of a wake up call per se. It could be a lot of things. I would just tell you, all of them are bad. Now, it also brings up in my mind, oh man, you as an organization get to a point with players, and especially quarterbacks, because there's a serious investment with quarterbacks. And the question is this a guy that's really going to give us a real shot at winning the playoffs? Because you have to make a decision and live with it and hope that now you can argue, really good quarterbacks are hard to find. If you get one that's, relatively decent, hold on to them and develop the crap out of them and hope they work out. And Tua was one of those guys where you go, whew, it's borderline, should we pay this guy? And then the other side of it is you go, no, we're not going to pay him. We're letting him go. And we just pray that whoever picks him up doesn't make us look bad. And so the Jets move on from Sam Darnold. Like, Sam Darnold's a pretty darn good football player right now. Wouldn't they have been better off just to stay with Sam Darnold? And you don't know that, and it's a hard gamble. It's a hard guess. Trevor Lawrence, Tua were kind of about the same, and Trevor Lawrence, has at least been to the playoff games and won, and looks like his team might get back to the playoffs again. Looks like he's, of course he's got a really good coach now. So it's just a fascinating thing to figure out and to be a part of. And when it works well, you look really smart, but when it doesn't, you look really bad. And the Dolphins they are swimming with sharks in just bad water, and it's not a good situation. Okay, let's take another break. When we come back, I got so much I want to talk about today, and I say again, I still, it's just really strange. I'm still just kind of on an emotional plane with Coach Whittingham. So. If you, of course, missed a part of that, I'm sure we'll have it up and you can catch my interview with him. It was good. This is the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell here on ESPN 792.1 FM. We come back. Who knows what I'll talk about?
You got to be out by 56. We only got 5 minutes left.
Hey there, folks. Sports fans, all you people out there, welcome back. It is the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Hey, let me tell you about a tough crowd. A tough crowd is the folks at Madison Square Garden. The Knicks, of course, they won the Gold Cup, and they're not hanging the banner. The last 2 Gold Cup winners actually did. I believe it was the Lakers, and it might have been the Denver Nuggets who won the Gold Cup. So we're not putting your little mid-season banner up in our place, and I'm surprised by this because, of course, they've won nothing with the Knicks forever. But even their little in-season, it's a banner, it's a championship, not going up. Now, there's another thing. You have these division winners, in the NBA, which is a weird thing because it's weird because divisions don't mean anything because it doesn't have an impact on the playoffs. It's just, it's just the top teams. And so divisions don't mean anything, but they do. They mean everything. Like in baseball, they mean everything in football, division races, division. It's a thing. So it gets you a playoff spot if you win your division. And I think that's one of the things maybe the NBA should consider. And so, I'd hate to be one of those, but speaking of one of those guys that plays for the Knicks, or the fans up there, tough crowd. Speaking of basketball, Kevin Garnett is having his jersey retired now, and I think it will be hanging in the Target Center or whatever center they have up in Minneapolis. And now he's taking on a role with the team. And I wonder how impactful are former players really when they take on a role. They get involved with the team. Does it really ever move the needle? I know. Like, if I wanted to and had the time, I could go back to every Detroit Lions game during the season, the home games, and they'll pay you, they'll fly you there, and you sit and you sign autographs before games. But does it really have an impact on the team? Does it really move the needle? It's kind of like that movie, The Electric Horseman. When they brought the guy, he was this old worn out rodeo guy, and he's trying to, they bring him out to kind of promote and do everything. And he's like, I don't want to do this. I'm going to go steal this horse and run off into the desert in Utah somewhere. And it's kind of that thing. I don't know. I look at Dwayne Wade, or I look at these people, or even like Magic Johnson, he becomes an owner of the Dodgers. Now the Dodgers have been successful, but is it because of Magic? Like, does Magic Johnson bring free agents go, oh man, I want to play for the Dodgers because Magic Johnson's involved? And I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think what's the case is, they're paying us a whole lot of freaking money. So really fascinating. And then you have, of course, Dwayne Wade here. He's an owner with the Jazz, and I really wonder if Dwayne, how's he moving the needle? Is he convincing people like, oh yeah, you really want to come to Utah and live? It's amazing, because it is amazing. But is he having that impact? I don't know.
90 seconds.
Let me tell you who is actually having an impact on us, and it's our good friends at Weight Vision. And I'm telling you, go check them out. Any kind of vision problems, you want to do it, they will take care of it. Dr. Weight, fellowship board certified in refractive lens correction surgery, which is something very common. It's what I had. The procedure was very minimal, like it's 15 minutes, and I was awake, and the downtime was not bad at all either. And it changed everything. My vision, I can see so clearly now, and it's just fun, man. I just really appreciate it. Any vision problems you have, they will take care of you, do a full workup, make the right decision for you. And so go check them out. UCCU building right there on Thanksgiving Point in Lehigh. Hey, thank you so much for tuning into the show. The Sean O'Connell Show's next. This has been the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell here on ESPN 792 on FM. Until then, we'll see you then.